session. There we go. So we have 23 of you still on and a few on the phone. If you're on the computer, if you feel comfortable, let us know who you are, what your name is, and where you are watching from. We are so excited to have this capacity to be able to start with Heather Ash in Austin, Texas at TOSI, and to end with me in my office, in my home in Monterey, California. We have wonderful technology and we have brilliant people helping us, so we celebrate that. As Heather Ash said, I am the global coordinator for 13 Moons. This is a new position and it has come about because of a dream. And I want to talk to you a little bit about the dream, and I want to specifically give us some time so I can answer any questions you all have. So Heather Ash has been teaching this material, as she said, for 15 years or so. She has worked with this material for a long, long time. I came to her teaching of this material 3.5 or 4 years ago, I think. And my first interaction with it was in a really short, kind of abbreviated class that had the same format as she had been using in Austin, or actually she wasn't in Austin at the time, but she had always done it by the phone, and so I was on the phone all the time learning the material, and I loved the material. We talked on the phone, and we got to know each other a little bit on the phone, and I was so excited to be learning this material. And when she said that she was going to create a local circle in Austin, I was thrilled, because the material alone was so life-changing for me that I wanted to be able to physically be sharing it with other people in my life, and I happened to live in Texas at the time. So I was in that first local circle, which she mentioned was 3 circles ago. And I was fortunate to be a pod holder, so I got to facilitate a pod. And one of my pod members is on our broadcast, Asara from San Antonio. I'm going to list all of you guys in just a second. So in our pod, we worked through so many transformations together. We became so incredibly close because we were holding the role of community for one another. If you listened to Heather Ash last week, we watched her first part of this class. She talked about a beautiful ritual for a young girl who had started menstruating. And the ritual was that the girl and her mom had their wrists tied together with thread, and they ran down the beach together until the mom couldn't run anymore, and so then they cut the thread and the girl ran on. And then the girl was welcomed back into the community. And I love that ritual. I love all rituals of transition. That's the kind of thing that most of us didn't get. And that's the kind of thing we learned tonight that we can create for ourselves. And it's really helpful if we have community to do that in. So we might not, your mom might not still be around in physical form. She might not be able to run down the beach with you. She might not be in your life in a way that makes it possible for you to do that ritual with her. But in 13 Moons, we get our sisters and our moms and our friends and our cousins. So that year, in our little group of 10, we were part of a larger group in Austin of about 50, I think. We had a small group of 10. We walked through that year together, and we supported each other. And Sarah will remember, we had a woman who started a business, brand new business. We had a woman who finished a job that really had been finished in her life for years and years, and she needed to finish, but it was with the support of 13 Moons and the sisters that she was able to do that. We had relationships end, we had relationships begin, we had people move. And those were the external changes. What was even more striking to me in just a year was the internal changes. Each of us learned to speak our truth in a new way. Many of us connected with our intuition in a new way. Many of us broke with ancestral patterns and family patterns. We did so much work together, and it was with the support of each other that we were able to do this. And I was so touched constantly by the tightness of this group. And as the year was ending, I was moving to California. And so I talked to Heather Ash and I said, Heather Ash, I know we have some people in California who would like to participate in 13 Moons, and I know that normally they would just participate by the phone. Back then we didn't have the video yet, we had just the phone. And I said, but you know, I really want to have a local circle, if we can. And at the time I knew one person who wanted to be in that local circle. It was a dear friend of mine, and we had a vision that if she and I would meet in her bedroom, on her bed with a candle in between us, we were still going to have our own local circle. And that's not what happened. We had an enormous local circle in California this year, and it has been just as transformational for everyone in that group as my first circle last year. And from that circle, we're in the Bay Area, from that circle, we have, I think, 4 circles breaking off for next year's program, which is just so exciting to me. So as you can see, we're growing, and we're growing this web throughout the globe. So this year, as Heather Ash said, we had people from Australia, France, Switzerland, Alaska, and what we saw was that they could form tight circles even when they didn't live with one another. It is all about intent and about staying connected. So like Heather Ash, I grew up moving everywhere. She moved around Asia when she was growing up. I moved around North America and Europe. We had very similar experiences. We did something different. I didn't do the thing of writing the story that I didn't make friends. I wrote the exact opposite, and that was, I get to make friends everywhere in the world. And I still feel like that. My life today is very much the same. So I'm living in California right now. And during this year, during our new 13 Moons program, I will be moving to Colorado. So with that move of me physically, we're also expanding 13 Moons and the way that we are holding our global sisters. And this is what I'm so excited to share with you. So first I want to go through and let you know, you guys can read all the chats, but for the people on the phone and for the people who are listening later, we have Sarah from New Jersey, Cherie from Wisconsin, Michelle in California near the redwoods and the ocean. We have Lauren in Austin, Anjali in Austin, Asara in San Antonio, Elizabeth in Austin, Melody from Michigan. Hi, Melody. Kirsten in Oregon, but right now in Las Cruces. Monique in Austin. So welcome, everyone. And for those of you who are watching in the future, welcome as well. I'm going to tell you a little bit about 13 Moons in general, then what's special about our global program, then we'll open it up for questions. So the 13 Moons program involves monthly 1 Saturday class and meeting. It's more than a class. It's a teaching and then a day of ritual and tool making and tool using. Lots and lots of practices. That's 1 Saturday a month. And then 2 Wednesday night teachings, the first and third Wednesday. Heather Ash will always record those, so you don't have to be live if you don't want to. What is very new with our global sisters is that this year we're going to have many pods throughout the world. So we had people who were so excited about 13 Moons this year that they came to me and said, I want to share this with my mom. I want to share this with my sisters. I want to go through this with my friends. So right now we currently have women in France, although our women in France might be moving to Congo, so we might have a Congo circle. So either France, either Paris or Congo, we'll have a circle there. We'll have a circle in Switzerland, quite possibly in Ireland. We will have many circles in California. We'll have a circle in Turkey, perhaps. Those are all local circles. What a local circle will do is join together for those Saturday classes. Now, if you're in some other part of the globe, you might not join on the Saturday. That's okay. Since everything is taped, you can join whenever you want. You'll get a teaching from Heather Ash. We'll all be together. The entire circle watches that same teaching together. And then when Heather Ash breaks out and goes and works with the Austin sisters, I will break out with all of you, all the global participants, and we have some fancy new technology that will allow me to do that, that I will actually be able to work with pods, a bunch of pods all at the same time, and do breakout sessions with you. So Saturday will involve a teaching from Heather Ash, and then a teaching and experiential piece with me. And you'll gather with your pod, if you have a local pod, to do that together. And then you will be together to work on the ritual for that week or that month, and you will make tools together. We make a lot of really great tools that we use. And you'll have an entire day together, which is beautiful. You'll also have one call a month with your pod sisters for a check-in. And these are beautiful. It's a great chance to let everybody know what's been up for you, because a month is a long time and a lot of change happens in a month in our program. So it's great to check in with that. On the Wednesday night calls, what usually happens is that Global Sisters watch Heather Ash, just like you've been doing, for an hour. And then she has a question and answer period with the Austin sisters. What we're going to do now is we'll watch Heather Ash together, and I will do question and answers with all the globals. So you'll get your own question and answer period, which is beautiful. We'll work with that. Pods will also have their own Facebook page that we'll create, so that's another way to stay in touch. So that's if you happen to have a local pod. So those of you who live near people who you think, wow, I'd love to do this with them, let them know about our program. Let us know that you're thinking about doing this, and I will give you extra support around how to set that up. That's my job, is to support each global sister. So local pods will be one way that we support our global sisters. If you don't have people around you, that's perfectly fine. What we do then is we make regional pods. So we'll see who all registers in January, by the middle of January, let's say, and I will create global pods. And we usually do it globally so that people are in similar time zones, so that if you're in Australia, you're not waking up at 3 in the morning to be on a call with people in the other part of the world. So if you're in one of those regional pods, you'll do the same thing. You'll gather with all of us and Heather Ash for a teaching on the Saturday, and then you will be part of our global breakout teaching with me, and then you will also stay and talk and ask questions after the Wednesday night classes if you choose to. And you'll have your regional pod check-in call once a month too, and you'll have a Facebook page. You have the same ways to connect with one another. So the same exact opportunities that were given to me when I lived in Austin, we're now working to make sure that everybody across the planet who's in 13 Moons has them, and I'm so excited about this. So that's a lot of talking from me. Feel free to chat and ask me any questions you have. It can be about 13 Moons in general, or it can be about the global program, and I will keep checking for those questions. Hi Terry, I see you. Is there a workbook? There are articles, and they're beautiful articles, one for every month. So there's an article, it's a writing, and then there's also a tool, an article about the tool or tools. So you will get that. We used to, the first year when I did it was a book that we got all at once in the beginning, and this year we tried something new, and that was to give each month at a time, so that everyone sort of stayed together. And I'm not sure how we're doing that. I think we'll also be doing that 1 month at a time. And those articles will always be available on the website. The website's beautiful. Nico designed it, and she keeps it up to date. And so it'll have always the articles, all of the recordings for the whole year, both on the phone. You can get on the phone, and then you can get on the video. Someone said, I did 13 Moons this last year, and it was such an awesome and amazing experience that I'm doing year 2. Yes, so many of us had that experience that we couldn't stop, and now we have a year 3 because we couldn't stop. It's incredible. We're still doing that 1 month at a time. Thanks, Nico. Should we prepare to keep a journal? Then I definitely would keep a journal. I have mined my journal from 13 Moons a lot since then. There's so much that can happen in a year. Just think about what can happen in a year without being in a program. But when you're in a program that is intensely focused on your own personal growth and supported by not only people now who are taking it, but hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of women and the energy that has been invested in this program over the decades, change happens. And it happens big and it happens fast. So I think keeping a journal is really, really important. Okay, we have a comment about the video. What if our goals change as we learn more about ourselves? Your goals will change. So the first thing we do at the beginning of the year is we set intents, and it's really fun to do that. And what's great is to watch how quickly those intents change because we learn more about ourselves and also because we finish them. So a lot of us have that experience of, I set this goal and I thought it was going to take me the whole year and I was finished with it in 2 months. So you will change a lot your goals, and that's great. We're all constantly changing and updating. Energetically, what happens is that when we share intents, and we do this, and pods really love to do this, is to continually update each other on what their intents are. I always keep a list of the intents of my pod on my altar and read through them. So we're not only sharing an intent, we're not only having our own intent, but it's a way that our intent gets juiced and jazzed by everybody else's. So things happen really quickly. I was wondering about how ritual is used. Is it used once to honor a transition or many times if the emotions around that transition comes up again? It could be that you need to do, that you want to do ritual more than once, and ritual is one piece of working with these things. So Heather Ash mentioned briefly that we work with emotional release. That is an aspect we'll talk about a lot with 13 Moons, and we'll work with a lot. So a lot of times I have to do emotional release and ritual to shift something, because the ritual shifts the energetic. It has me go back in time and sort of shift the energetic, but I still have the emotions with me. Heather Ash talked about that backpack. I've still been carrying those emotions around with me, so I need to do the work of continually creating space to release those emotions. Does that answer that question? Okay, while we're waiting, another awesome thing is to have all the recordings that I'm going to go back to review, revisit, clear out other things, and bringing in new things. It's so true. So I've listened to Heather Ash teach this material 2 full years, and every time I hear, it might be the same material. She might be working with speaking our truth and the throat, and every time I listen, there's something new that comes up for me because I've changed. So I'll hear a piece that I swear she didn't say the last time, but of course she did. So to have these things available to me forever, for as long as I want, on my little disk drive is a beautiful, beautiful gift. So I also keep all of those recordings. Great. Any other questions or comments? Great. Well, as you sit with this information, and as Heather Ash said, you will get an invitation. You already have it in your inbox. I think it's in mine. Let me know if you have any questions. So you can write to the email address that you'll get in that email. But just put in the subject line for Amy, and that will get to me. Ask me any questions about global things that come up, because questions always arise as we sift through. Is it normal to be fearful of these changes? Absolutely. Absolutely. And I'll just talk about fear for just a second. Because first of all, it's very normal if you think about patterns of behavior that you've developed over decades. And telling your being, hey, guess what? We're getting rid of all of those things. Whew, that's a lot. So fear can come up a lot, and that's one reason it's so helpful to have community to rest into. But the thing I want to let you know about fear is that fear is an incredible energy. So fear doesn't necessarily mean that something's bad. It actually is energy that we can use, and we will talk about that. We will work with that throughout the year together. It's very normal to be fearful of changes and to have, different voices in your head saying, nope, we can't do this. Or what are you thinking? We need to stay this way. Oh, it's so crafty the way that our beings can resist change. Great question. Thank you. Any other questions? You're welcome. Yes, there's a monthly fee. So for Global Sisters, it's $100 a month. And you register by putting down your deposit. And as she said, so that's $100 a month. But if you register by this Friday at midnight, you get $50 off that month, your deposit. And you work out with River. It's really easily done. It's all computerized, so it's taken out of your, however, I don't know how she does it, but you charge it just a credit card once a month, and she's really great with working with all of that. So it's $100 a month for the global program. We do offer coaching. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So we have phenomenal coaches in our community. And all of our 13 Moons coaches have been through 13 Moons before. And you can have coaching, one session a month, for $50 a month. $50 a session, which is an incredible price. Usually coaching is $75 to $100 for a session. So as long as you're 13 Moons, you can have a session a month for $50. And you can sign up with that with River too at the same time. So $100 for the program, and then if you want coaching, it's $150. And you can go on the website. River will tell you who the 13 Moons coaches are. I think there are about 4 or 5 of us. And then you can go on the website and read about us and see which one sort of feels like she might be right for you. Or you can leave that up to River. There's a questionnaire you fill out that I think has a question about what you're looking for in a coach. And when you fill that out, River and Heather Ash will be able to connect you with the coach that's right for you. Coaching is a really phenomenal gift you can give to yourself. I love that part of our program. Okay, I'll stay with coaching and then I'll go back to the Miguel question. Can you get coaching without signing up for it in the beginning? Yes, you can. So the only challenge with that is that some of us fill up. So my slots often fill up at the beginning. So if you're flexible about who you would take for a coach, or if you are flexible, if you can wait a little while to be fit in with the particular person you want, that's great. And so what some people do is they don't feel like they need coaching for the whole year, but then something happens and they say, you know what, I'd really like a coach for the next couple months to get me through this period. You can definitely do that. It's still the same price. As long as you're in a program with us, coaching is $50 a session. So that's always easy to add. You just contact River. And I think it might be actually that you can do it straight away on the website. Click on a thing and type away. So there's a question about Heather Ash's lineage, where she has lots of them. So she worked with Don Miguel, as she's talked about a little bit. and the significance of lineage in this tradition. So I'm going to tell you about all of her lineages first. She first worked with a woman named, I'm trying to remember which one she had first. Anyway, two women close to one another in time. One was named Vicki Noble, who is phenomenal teacher. She created a tarot deck called the Mother Peace Tarot, and she is very schooled in Western European shamanism, and now she works a lot with Buddhism. And so Heather Ash was in a circle with her in the 80s, I think, late 80s. She also worked with a woman named Caradwyn Falling Star, who another really gifted teacher and performer of ritual who works with Western shamanic tradition, Western European shamanic tradition. And she has also worked, as many of us have, including myself and Nico, with a woman named Peggy Dillon, who is the mother of firewalking in the modern world. So we're firewalk instructors, and Heather Ash worked closely with her. So those are three of her teachers. She started working with Don Miguel Ruiz about 15 years ago, and worked so closely with him that she began to teach with him through the years. She became one of his assistants for teaching, and she traveled around the globe teaching with him. The significance of lineage in our tradition, in Tosi in general, is that we have such amazing depth of information that's passed through all of these teachers to Heather Ash. She's a holder of tremendous amounts of information because she's worked with all of these different people, and we are so lucky to be able to get that from her. We live in really incredible times, as you guys have probably noticed, where the world is just busting open with information transmission. And 50 years ago, in order to get a lot of the information that we will get through 13 Moons, it would be very difficult. You have to go and study with one teacher in person. We had a very different model for a long time about how teachings were passed down. But we live in a different age, and specifically with the Toltec tradition. In the 90s, things really came back into being taught openly, and Miguel's a fabulous conduit of information. And so now we live in an age where someone like Heather Ash can go and study with all of these teachers and then gift us with those teachings, which is just really a phenomenal, beautiful thing. Any other questions? Yeah, you're welcome. This is fun. I love that we can talk. I can talk and you guys can chat. And I believe with our new technology, we'll all be able to talk a little bit next year, which is really cool. I have to learn it first. Okay, my dear friends and sisters, I'm in huge gratitude to you for hanging around and hearing about this program that has meant so much to me, and about my dream of giving it to other women. So as I said, if you have questions for me, just send them to River and put my name on the subject line and she'll forward them to me. I love modern technology. Happy to meet you. Happy to meet you too. All of you. And some of you I've already met in person, but it's lovely to be here present with all of you. And those of you who are watching after the fact, that's cool too. Time and space don't really separate us at all. Have a wonderful evening too. I love you, Asara. I love all of you. Take care. Many blessings. Good night.